When you log into Gravity, you can pick many starting points. Our default is the home dashboard, where you can access many pieces of information, run many processes, even run reports right from here. But on the left on our navigation, you'll see our sales and revenue processes. We're going to spend most of our time in the revenue side, but you can see that we have a full order entry, picking, shipping, all the way through to what starts as an invoice. But everything, of course, starts with the customer. So we're going to look at a customer first. In Gravity, you can create customers with a customer ID and a customer name. But you'll see a lot of other information in here, such as default items, including their price class, ship complete, and salesperson and territory, which are used for sales analysis reports. On the upper right, you'll see addresses. Now, on this tab, we can set up as many addresses as we like for a customer, but here we're going to select the default addresses that we're going to use for a ship to, a bill to, and a statement. We can change those on any order or invoice at any time. As I scroll down a little bit, we'll see a few other things. Options on how we actually communicate with this customer. Do we send their invoices through email? Do we actually send statements and send those through email? And who do we send those through? Over here, you'll see some things with our dimensions. Are dimensions required? Are they optional? And most importantly, which companies get to access this customer? We can share customers with multiple companies, and this makes it really easy to be able to use one customer throughout multiple companies. If we have an organization whereby we have 2 or 3 companies that sell to the same person, we don't have to set that customer up multiple times. We can set them up once. We can aggregate all of their receivables into one report, or we can see them individually by company. So this gives us a lot of power in Gravity to be able to work with multiple entities and with customers, vendors, charts of accounts, so on. A few of the other things you'll see here, some financial information, including their average days to pay. So we give you statistics here so you can rate your customers as to how well you're doing, how much they owe, so on. But as I go across, you'll see a few more things here. Besides the accounts and contacts that we manage, we can actually create credit cards. The credit cards basically get processed inside of Gravity, and therefore you don't have to use an outside machine or an outside processor. Invoice history, I'm going to stop here at notes. So notes here gives us the ability to actually have different types of activities on a customer that we want to document. We can basically attach documents here. You'll see here a PDF that's basically maybe our main contract with this customer. You'll see that I had a task to talk to one of the individuals there about a price change. So we have a full activity-based platform that lets us put individual types of notes on a customer, on an invoice, on a transaction, so on. You'll see also here on this plus where we can create more types of notes, including collections. We separately have a whole credit and collection system with a collections dashboard where you can put on an individual customer a collection note. So as you're doing your receivables analysis, you'll be able to look at the overdue bills, make notes on customers, even leave yourself an activity to check to see if a payment came in within a week. A few of the other options here, you'll see the invoices, but when I look at related here, you're going to see that I may want to look at all their orders. I may want to look at all the shipments we've done to them, so on. So this is going to give us access to all the related information to a customer. So once we have customers set up, next thing we would do is most likely have an invoice. So I'm going to jump to an invoice. And here you can see a few things. First off, you can put invoices and credits here in the same form. We also have the ability to process returns from customers. When we do a return, we will look up the pricing that you put on the original invoice. So when you do the return or credit, it will actually create the same pricing on that credit. We also have something called a pro forma invoice. A pro forma invoice is for certain industries where they want to create a template of an invoice, but they don't want to actually allow it to be processed until the customer approves it or so on. So we move it from pro forma to invoice, and we can process it. Customer. Now you'll see here 2 dates. One date is the date that's on the invoice. The other is the date that we want it to apply to our GL. So we can actually apply documents to other periods if we want to. This invoice will be in my September period, even though I want an October date for the invoice that I print. Those addresses that I mentioned before over here, and even dimensions if we want to. So as I go through tabs here, you'll see the ability to have different defaults that came in. We do actually calculate sales tax or value added taxes outside of the US. So if we want to, we can create tax schedules. We can identify salespeople and territories, so on. So this is going to give us our defaults, but again, we can change these on any invoice or order. And then you'll see invoice lines. So here I have a total of 4 lines, $1,710, and no other charges that are being applied. In the line item, you can see I have these are all inventory lines, but they don't have to be inventory lines. They could be non-inventory where I just put in a description, an amount, and an account information. If you'd like to be able to discount either by percentage or dollars, we can do that. We can flag certain lines as taxable or not taxable, and that can come from the inventory master itself, where we say this item is always taxable, and it will come through as long as we have a tax schedule on the invoice, and some accounting information and some dimension information. So this is going to give us, again, all that information of what we're actually selling. Over here, we're going to be able to see if an invoice has been processed, which this one hasn't, so it'll be empty. We would see all the activity around that invoice, if there was a payment or multiple payments, so on. Activities and notes, just like before, so this gives us the ability to put activities on, and that related information. Maybe I want to see the journal entries that were created by this invoice when I post it. So with that, I would basically save this invoice and I would post this invoice. But I can also at any time, either before it's posted or after it's posted, print this invoice. So we'll go ahead and print. So as you can see, this invoice here came up. Now I have email enabled on the customer. One click, it's set up as a PDF and emailed out. What happens is there's a default template that goes with sets up the email, the subject of the email, the message to the customer. Or if I just want to print this as a PDF, I can do that. Now one note here, all of our invoices formats are created in Word templates. So I'll bring over a template here to show you what that looks like. So as you can tell, this is Microsoft Word. And with it, you can lay out any format that you like. For example, change the logo. These are slugs, and we fill that with information. So you can move these around. You can build your own formats. You can put your own text, colors, layout, so on. So your limitation is what you can create in Microsoft Word as a layout for an invoice. And you can actually have multiple layouts for different purposes. So once we print an invoice, get that to the customer, email that to the customer, the next step would be getting a cash receipt in. And with cash receipts here, we have the ability to even look up the customer from the invoice number itself. Often it's possible that you may get paid not from the customer you invoice, but from another party. Maybe it's a parent company. So you need to actually look that customer up based on just having an invoice number. So we have that capability right here. Customer name, as you can see here, and you'll see a couple of options. One option is to apply this cash receipt only to the invoices that are in this company. Or I have the option of applying this cash receipt to invoices in multiple companies. We actually will handle all the receivables in each company and will manage the due tos and due froms, as one company is going to get the full cash receipt and apply that to their bank, and the other companies are going to end up owing this company for the fact that it's received cash on their behalf. Another option here is to put a retainer payment in. And this allows you to automatically credit a deferred revenue account with the retainer. And then later we have an option where you can apply that retainer to invoices as they're created. Again, certain industries use that as part of their payment processing. So you'll see some payment information here. If you pick credit card, for example, we're going to basically enable our internal credit card processing through secure gateways and credit card processors. You can see where we can apply previous credits or payments. We can do external credit cards, even apply that retainer. So we'll say a check. We have two pieces of ID that we can put on a payment. So obviously a check number, for example, but we may want to also have another piece of information on that. based on the type of payment we received, and the amount that we received and the amount that was applied to invoices. In this case, I only have one invoice and I applied all 250. I could easily go out there and apply just a portion of it. I could put this on account where I say, I don't know yet where this goes, and if I do that, when I come back here, this will say 250 and we'll have 0 applied. And again, activities and notes. So I can easily have a note on here or a task. Maybe I didn't know where this went and I put it on account, and I want to leave myself a task to on Monday go out there and determine where we should apply this cash receipt to. And I would see that in a task list. So if I were to finish this off, once I post this, I would have a cash receipt that would be applied to an undeposited payments account that gives us the ability to then create a deposit ticket where we would then take those cash receipts, bundle them into a bank deposit. So the deposit ticket will move it from an undeposited account to the actual bank account as a deposit. And we do this because we want the deposits to match the actual deposit that's made into the bank account, because when you get a bank statement, either electronic download or a paper statement, you're going to have one number for that deposit that could be made up of multiple cash receipts. So we're able to bundle the multiple cash receipts the same way the bank would have it in their activity, so it makes it really easy to do a bank reconciliation. Again, thank you for taking a few minutes to look at Gravity's receivables management.